Welcome back to Jenna's Kitchen. Cinnamon rolls. Everyone loves them, but you have to have a little bit of patience to make this delicious treat. So today I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to make some delicious cinnamon rolls. Let's get started. We have our stand mixer. We have half a cup of butter and a cup of milk. We're going to add these into our mixer. And you want to use unsalted butter because if you use salted butter, when we put the yeast in, it's going to kill the yeast. And then they won't be light and fluffy. They'll be kind of like rocks. And we don't want rock cinnamon rolls. Those aren't good. 1 cup of milk. Now you want the milk to be warm and you don't want the butter to be too hot. Because if the butter is too hot, it's going to make your milk get lumps in it, which is not good. Not good. Put this down, lock it, and mix it up just a little bit. We're going to add 1/3 a cup of sugar. And this is what's going to feed the yeast to make it rise. We have this mixed up. Now what we're going to do is add 1 pack or 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. And give it a slight stir and then let it foam for 10 minutes. Our yeast is done frothing. Now we're going to add 2 eggs. Boom. That was cool. And then we're going to add some of our flour. We don't want to add the salt right now because it will kill the yeast. And like I said earlier, it'll make rock hard cinnamon rolls. And we don't want that. So just going to add a little bit of flour. I'm really good at banging balls on each other today. Mix it up. Oh, we have this little handy dandy guard. That way I don't make a big mess. We're going to add in 2 teaspoons of salt. And then the rest of our flour. Alright, this is a good speed to keep it at because if we turn it up any higher, once we put the flour in, it's going to make a flour explosion everywhere. Okay, so this is now the consistency that we want it to be. We want it to kind of like ball up in a little ball and pull away from the sides. So we're just going to add a little bit more flour until this gets to where it's a little ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add half a cup of flour first and just keep on adding half cups until I get the way it needs to be. I added another half a cup of flour and it's getting the way we need it to be. So I'm just going to let it knead for 5 minutes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let our dough rest for an hour to an hour and a half. So we're just going to tuck it in with a little towel. Okay, so now it's time to make the cinnamon filling for our cinnamon rolls. We have 1 cup of brown sugar, half a cup of melted butter. This is what makes cinnamon rolls cinnamon rolls. It's a cinnamony goodness in the middle of the rolls. It's delicious and it just brings the whole cinnamon roll together. Now we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon and 3/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then just mix this up. It smells so good. This would be like a perfect recipe for fall or the holidays or anytime you just want some cinnamon rolls because cinnamon rolls are great all year round. They're great for breakfast, a snack, anytime you want some cinnamon rolls. This looks good. It is ready to go onto our dough. We have our dough and we have our mat. So what we're going to do is going to take our dough and put it out on our mat. All right, we're going to have to use a hand. Okay, I have a feeling some of the dough is stuck, in which I am correct. We have our dough. Now we're going to roll it until it's 16 by 20. All right, this looks good. Now we're going to take our cinnamon mixture and spread it all over our cinnamon dough. You may need more or less of this cinnamon mixture depending on how big you rolled your dough. You want to leave a little room at the edges. That way when you roll your cinnamon rolls, this filling will not squirt out at the end and then make a big old mess. All right, this looks good. Now we're going to roll it this way. So here we go. All right, now it's time to cut our cinnamon rolls up into little rolls. We have a pizza cutter and we're just going to cut our pizza rolls. We're going to cut our pizza rolls about 1 inch thick. We're not using a specific measurement, but that's how thick I like my cinnamon rolls. If you don't want your cinnamon rolls to be as big, you can cut your dough in half All right, so you can do this 2 different ways. You can put it in a pan, put a bunch of cinnamon rolls in there, and there's never a hard edge. It's all gooey and sweet. But if you want to give them as a gift or sell them individually, you can put them on a cookie sheet about 1 inch apart, and they will spread, like come apart more easily than if they are in this dish. Now we're gonna do what we did earlier, cover them up with a cloth and let them rise for 30 minutes, then bake them in a 350-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes until they get golden brown and delicious. All right, our cinnamon rolls are out of the oven. Now it's time to make the glaze. We have 1/2 cup of softened butter and 1/2 cup of softened cream cheese. Now we're just gonna whisk these together until it gets smooth. Now we're gonna add 2 cups of powdered sugar. All right, and then whisk this up. Last thing we're gonna do is add a splash of vanilla, about 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna go grab a piping bag and meet you right back here. All right, we have our glaze and our piping bag and our cinnamon rolls. So we're just gonna take our glaze, put it in the piping bag. You don't have to pipe this on there. You could just take a spatula or spoon and spoon it onto your cinnamon rolls. But this is just gonna make it look a little prettier. You wanna pipe on the glaze when it's still hot, that way it kind of melts and it looks pretty and it's delicious. All right, so this is how I glaze my cinnamon rolls. I made them kind of like cinnamon roll cupcakes, but if you don't want that glaze to be that thick, you want it to be a little thinner, you can take an offset spatula and smooth it out. And I think I'm gonna have to do that because this is like a really, really, really thick glaze. Oh, it's going down the side. But now it looks more like a cinnamon roll that you would get at like Cinnabon. So yeah, you can do whatever you want. You could leave it like this. You could smooth it out however you want to do your glaze. This is really simple and you can make it to your liking. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and if you make these cinnamon rolls and share it on Facebook or Instagram, be sure to tag Jenna's Kitchen 16. I would love to see how y'all's cinnamon rolls turned out and if you like them or not. In the comments down below, put if you like cinnamon rolls and your favorite kind, like Cinnabon or homemade, or the ones that you get in like the little Pillsbury container. That's what that's called. All right, have a great day, y'all.